Welcome to the Dice Box and the return of Tombstone Blues. Unfortunately, Brian is in the middle of grad school, locked down with multiple kids, and a day job that he's mostly working from home, so he will not be able to join us. But given some of the bullshit that came up in the last bunch of session, that's actually fairly easy to handle. So, it'd be harder if it was like Reba or worse, Alloy. But I don't think I'm ever losing either of those two from any game I ever run, ever. Thank you. Uh, okay, so previously, not that much about previously matters, which is part of why all of these sort of episodic bits are so good, but there is some link up. Uh, Previously, they had some issues in Farmstead, near a town that I didn't bother to give a name. It's not like you spent any time in it, so hey. The gang tripped over the Norrington farm, which was being haunted by a rather disturbing amount of weird. Let's leave us put it that way. Main bad being the Undertaker-looking dude, who, through a series of immense complications and a lot of getting clawed up, involved them tripping through a portal to God's only know where, probably somewhere in the Reckonerverse, we're not entirely sure, but it didn't really matter anyway because their NPC support divination wizard used a natural one to summon up and bind a pit fiend. And absolutely demolished it. When they went to search the Norrington house later, they found some evidence that some of this activity may have got its start at the Hillcrest Sanitarium, which is a ways away, a pretty significant ride. And of course, Jillian basically has to go where the Lord calls anyway, but you can sort of go in that general direction. But, 5 people down to 4 after about a week. Going through the wastes, that'll take some time. So you're on the road for the best part of a month, which explains the upgrades. Because, you trip over little towns and weird shit happens, not to mention the fact that Alloy has been stopping every place where she might be able to beg, borrow, or break into a blacksmith shop or something she can use as a lab to make things, which you found out in the first town you went into when she basically badgered a blacksmith for his shop, which, by all means. I mean, it's just you stop in town, you're supposed to be going to see if there's lodgings at the local saloon, and boom, straight for the blacksmith shop.
Yeah.
With her really wonky, sort of half put together glasses. By this time, incidentally, Caleb has waited until it was Reba on watch. Said, I know that Jillian there wasn't too keen on getting dragged to these fairy wilds. He always gets it wrong, so I'm going to keep it. So I'm gonna go on my own and let him know as how I'm leaving my pack aside for the moment. If I can, I'll find you again. If not, best of luck to you. I just didn't want to get into an argument with Jillian or with Alloy. Especially not with Alloy. There ain't no arguing with her. Too many words, talks too much. And before you even say a word, he just rubs the coin and it's gone. So, yeah, Reba gets to deliver that news in the morning when all of a sudden there ain't no Caleb.
Just as he blips, that's because she was about to go, and too much math.
So,
Except then she realized, well, hell, all right.
he does not waste time or words, that one. He did into like too. It didn't have any words to waste. So, yeah, Reba delivers that news come morning. There's not really any arguing with it. He's already gone. But, yes, town. Try to be saloon, but alloy, boom, blacksmith in her cobbled together glasses.
Yeah. Who I badger to the for a solid hour to get both the parts for adding to the containment unit for that chunk of hoodoo-infused ghost rock. So I've just lined the thing completely around. It's now a sealed steel canister.
Okay.
And I've tried to construct a bottomless ammo belt.
Yeah, okay, but first thing you're going to need to do is make me a persuasion check.
All right.
Oh.
Here we go. 20. Badger. Mushrooms?
We have to wonder how many of those alloy is on. Yeah, he's a little bit fed up with the yammer. It finally just sort of grabs her by the shoulders. Look! Whatever it is you want to do in here, you don't have to wait until I'm closed. I got customers.
Okay.
And come back around sunset. Shoves her out the door. And slam. He wants as little to do with you as possible. He'll give you what you want just as long as he doesn't have to deal with you.
And yeah, I'll happily prance back over to the saloon.
Yeah, well, the badgering did take a good 20 minutes. So did you guys go into the saloon or did you follow this one? So
saloon.
Yeah, Reba stood there long enough to watch Alloy go in, gave it about 5 minutes, was like, okay, she's not being chased out with a hammer being flung at her head, so okay, and then went in.
Okay.
How far are we expecting ourselves to be from the sanitarium by now?
Well, this is the first few days.
Okay.
We're covering some little bits and pieces before we get to the meat of the event because y'all will have picked up some various bits and pieces on your way, and that's so yeah. In comes Alloy looking. I don't know. Somehow I imagine sort of half proud, half eek.
Whew! That was a thing.
Well, you don't have any dents in your skull, so I guess it went well.
And I get to mess with some designs, too. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Okay.
And possibly fix these, because one is... and I'm just gesturing in weird circle shapes near my glasses.
Okay. So
Thess, I think
You've gone silent.
No, you're okay. It wasn't coming through at first, and then suddenly it started.
Then that's a thing on your end. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Wait, character sheet. See what we can make you roll. Okay. For the new containment unit, Smith's tools, please. Yeah, you can. After business hours, Alloy wanders off again, and yeah, you can shore that up pretty well. For the ammo belt, roll me Tinker's tools.
25.
Yeah, I mean, it takes some doing. It takes some math, and it takes some components that you didn't technically get the blacksmith's permission to use, but you needed them and they were there and you didn't really realize until you had your bottomless ammo belt.
Wait a second. Oh. Oh boy. I think there was only one of those.
If you want to do the glasses, you're gonna need another Tinker's Tools check.
Here's hoping I can do this without actually seeing him all that well. 18.
They're I mean, they're kind of awkwardly milled, but they're better than what you've got. They're actually, they're actually glasses, not just sort of goggles that you've kind of clumped together. You're probably going to need, frankly, better light. That's the problem with working after hours. You've kind of been working in fairly dim light, and while that was fine for a lot of stuff that was mostly math, for fine milling glasses prescription, you're gonna need something a little bit better and brighter lit. But these work, and they actually look like glasses. They're lighter weight, and they're not clunky.
Okay, what I would give for a city with a proper place to make this sort of thing, but... Well... Everything else is done.
Yeah, by this point, it's like 1 in the morning.
Let's go see if there's bed now, yes. And up goes container, up ammo belt over shoulder, and clumping out with my glasses on after shutting everything down.
I'm assuming these two just went to sleep because, yeah. So yeah, you guys wake up in the morning with Alloy with her usual. I have been working. I have flumped onto the bed without removing any of my clothing, and probably without removing the glasses either. So they're kind of pressed into her face in places, and there's an ammo belt, and that container she put the ghost rock that did that to her in is sitting all nicely encased in steel. It looks heavier, but also more shielded.
Probably just like the faint sections where there actually is sections to open it is maybe glowing just a bit from their stuff in there.
Nobody's asking.
Nope.
Is Alloy going to explain when she wakes up eventually?
Oh. Jillian, this is for you, and tossing her the ammo belt.
Jen fumbles a little bit to catch it.
I'll let you have that.
So, if you put bullets in that, you won't ever have to worry about counting bullets.
I see.
Look, I did the math, I applied the various theories, and there's more space in there than there should be, and also it's regenerative. So long as there's some ammo in there, there's going to be, like, never-ending ammo.
The looks on the faces.
And, well, I fixed containment.
Are you sure?
Yeah, look. Grab the handle, twist, and more sealant springs in.
All right.
I'm still just sort of scoot, a little further away from the damn thing.
Okay, over the next couple of more weeks that you're traveling, is there anything else that Alloy wants to make?
Let's see. A duster of protection.
Okay, that one you can probably do without a blacksmith shop. So give me a Tinker's tools.
21.
You're gonna actually... Who are you making that for? Is that you or Jillian? I mean, Jillian is usually on the front line, so it would make sense,
Yeah.
but...
Duster for Jillian, and given next opportunity after that, if there's any more chances, a brooch of shielding for Reba.
Okay, well, we'll start with, well, at some point, that means Alloy is going to have to ask for Jillian's duster.
Hey, Jillian, and just sort of leaning into view.
Jillian eyes her with that
Inc-
particular tone of questioning.
Incidentally, by this point, you will have noticed that the infinite ammo belt does actually work.
Jillian's try not to think about that too hard.
Just letting you know, so there's some confidence involved.
Yes, Aloy?
So, could I borrow the duster for, like, a day?
It'll take a couple of
For-
hours, not a day.
For what?
Jeez. Well, I want to make some add-ons, tweaks, fixes, add to the durability, that sort of thing. I can show you the math.
I don't need to be shown the math, Aloy. Just... I don't need nothing mechanical added to it. Alright?
It's not mechanical. Just for Alloy, just saying it's not mechanical, it's math.
It's nothing's mechanized, it's just mathematics.
Alright.
Yay! Just bounce. And getting that look of, there is science to be done.
Okay, so what I will do is, okay, going to Jillian's character sheet. Chug. Come on. There we go. It's listed as Cloak of Protection, but, I think I can change that. Yes, I can. Yeah, that should have upped your armor class. Equip.
Yeah, looks like I upped it 1.
Yep, and also please do note that it does also give you +1 to saving throws. I think that would have been added as well. So
Alright, that is good to know.
So yeah, on the next bit of weirdness that happens after that, Jillian will notice that the thing is actually more durable, and it's holding up better than it has. Best not to think about some of the weird mathematically kind of runed things in the inside hems, but you know.
Yeah, as long as it's not springing a robot arm, Jillian's not gonna
No.
ask any questions.
And a little while later, this one, the brooch is going to require a blacksmith shop, so that's going to be another persuasion check.
18.
No. The blacksmith is a particularly large, grumpy gentleman who does not want your little Yankee ass anywhere near his shit.
Yeek!
Get out!
And just out.
Okay.
Muffin!
Boop.
And I'm hugging Muffin.
Boop.
Thanks, Muffin.
Still no hammer, but that obviously didn't go well this time.
He was
Come on.
grumpy and something about Yankees.
Well, you are, but...
Are you going to wait until the next town, or are you going to break in?
Okay.
I mean, you do have proficiency with thieves' tools. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no. I while I'm hugging Muffin, I'm just sitting there, spot the tools. Oh, right. There's that possibility. Yeah, I'm gonna break in, but I'm not mentioning it to anybody.
Okay, so night happens, sleep happens, saloons are when you don't actually have to have a watch most of the time. Stealth check from Alloy to get out of the room without alerting anybody.
15.
What's everybody's passive perception?
That passes mine. That's 13. Mine's 13.
12.
Alloy manages just to get out. Thankfully, it's a little town, a little closer to the wastes than most people like. So there doesn't seem to be anybody outside. Thieves' tools.
Let's see. 23.
It's not a particularly impressive lock by your standards. I mean,
Nah.
you're used to more northern machinist kind of stuff. That's how you learned. So the South never got the best of northern engineering, you know. Okay.
Well, at least there isn't a resetting tumbler on this one.
Okay. Now, Tinker's tools.
24.
Yeah. Now we roll the hand of fate. Yeah, you do have to kind of raid the blacksmith's strong box to get something that would actually work as a focal gemstone kind of thing. And whatever it is you took looks expensive, but it's the only way it's going to work with the maths you've got. It's a chunk of what appears to be opal. So, for this part of the world.
Well, this'll definitely fit the math. Priciest way to do it, though. Here we go.
And yeah, it definitely works.
And I'm just kind of spinning the brooch in my hands, double checking it. Success. Yay.
Okay. So now you have to sneak back into the room.
Okay, time to shut everything off and get out of here.
Yeah, give me another stealth check.
7.
You trip over Spot. And everybody hears the and the thud. And there's Alloy flat on the floor with Spot lying under her ankles.
Oh, sorry.
This is like 2 a.m.
What in the bloody...
Jillian just sighs.
Spot, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. She should have watched where she was going.
I think-
Back up by Reba.
Bed.
Were you doing anything that's going to get us in heat later? Ah, hell, who am I kidding? Of course you were. How quickly do we need to get out of town?
Yeah, early-ish, so breakfast at least is possible. Maybe.
You have you don't realize this because you aren't that type of girl, but you underestimate how early a blacksmith would probably get up in the morning. No, you would not figure that out.
Nope. Yeah, it's just this. Maybe.
Jillian? Do we even want to know what Eloy was up to? Or do we just want
Reba, perception check.
to... Okay. Oh, there. Got it. 11.
There's definitely an odor. It's not a booze odor. It's a charcoal, metal.
You were working with metal again, weren't you?
Yes.
You went back to that... Oh.
Jillian just rolls over,
Oh.
pulls up the sheet.
That blacksmith that chased you out of his shop, you went back there, didn't you?
A little bit.
We're going to have to leave at dawn, basically.
And just sort of that wait. That early sort of expression, like not even words at this point, just a wait a second, what?
Do you know how early a working person actually gets up? No, obviously not. Dawn, usually.
Jillian mutters
Especially if they
something
have
about
to-
Yankees.
Especially if they have to do that much prep work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Get what sleep you can, because you're going to be sleeping on the ride.
Praise Muffin.
Okay, I'm going to be kind and say Spot is your wake-up call. So, you know, around about dawn-ish, you've got Spot and Reba going, I'm really, really sorry.
No, thank you. Do me a favor. Bop him on the nose for me. Bop her on the nose, excuse me. Her.
Alloy, I'm assuming? Did actually gives up on the whole thing and directly on top of Alloy's chest. Woomph!
Hello.
Reba's chuckling as she gets up to...
I am very much awake, Spot. Thank you.
together. Thank you. That was perfect.
And sort of ambles over to Jillian and just gently pats her ear.
Jillian stirs and gives Spot a scritch.
Back to Reba. I got scritches from the grumpy one. I woke up the fiddly one real good!
Yes, you did. That was amazing.
And I'm basically vibrating and just jamming my stuff back into all the various places it would fit.
Unfortunately, the blacksmith gets up a little bit before dawn to heat up the forge, which was already quite warm, weirdly. And given the conversation he had with the damn Yankee, Reba is a wise woman, and she looks out the window and she sees the blacksmith waiting.
Oh, Eloy, you've got a guest.
What?
I underestimated just how early this particular blacksmith got up. He's waiting for you.
Uh-oh.
What did you take, Aloy?
I'm just going to pull out the brooch.
There's a pretty pricey looking opal set in the middle of that.
Oh, ancestors.
Are you going to actually say what it does and who it's for?
Reba, this is for you. Or at least that was the original point of the design.
And what's it supposed to do?
Just double checking something.
Resistant to force damage. Basically, if something goes boom at her, and she has been boomed at a few times.
So, this thing blocks... Well... The kind of boom that's not necessarily thunder, but just... The kind of whoomph you get off of something exploding.
And you see, she's... I'm pretty sure that Martha showed the magic missile spell. And that's it, there's complete immunity to that.
Yeah.
Plus that, the thing that Martha showed with the little rockets of energy, that will bounce.
Just
I'm just handing it over.
She'll put it on.
Yeah.
And then tuck it.
Honestly, because that was actually a pretty good roll, I'm also going to have it increase your armor class. I'm nice that way. Sometimes.
Very. And I may need it here in a minute. That's why she's putting it on now.
Well, that entirely depends. Do y'all want to try and sneak out the back? Reba knows the back doors for just about every saloon she ever goes in. It's a necessity.
Yeah, it's a necessary thing.
It depends on where the horses and the muffin are.
Usually
in relation to the blacksmith.
off to the side. He's standing at the front. And
Okay, so if
yeah,
we can,
Reba
if we can theoretically,
yeah,
get to the horses.
Reba can see he looks so pissed.
Yeah, we don't want to be going out the front because he's there. As per usual, I know the back.
Let's get going then.
So,
All right, you want to give me a sec? And Reba will take a moment, center, and do pass without trace
Okay.
before we head out.
So I
She's
would
not taking.
yeah, I would like you all to make me stealth checks with remembering your plus 10.
30 all told.
11.
Which
20.
means 21.
So 21 and 20.
So yeah, 21 and 20 is a result.
Fuck. The saloon owner and the one lone patron in the place don't notice you slip out the back. The blacksmith rolled a nat 20 and is waiting by the horses with a shotgun.
Uh-oh.
And let's see. What's Muffin's AC?
Muffin at this point? AC 18.
Well, the barrel of buckshot that gets shot at Muffin does not make a dent in the upgrades that you've put in over the past few weeks. But he has shot at Muffin and is swearing up a storm. And then points the shotgun at Alloy, and I would like y'all to roll initiative.
Five.
6.
Also 5.
Oh
17.
No, 6. My bad. I was looking at the wrong one. I saw the 5 pop up first.
no. Oh Christ! He rolled. He rolled a natural 18.
What the hell is this man?
Very
Pissed.
large and very pissed.
The angriest farmer. Blacksmith.
Alloy, remind me your AC.
Mine's 15.
Yeah, okay, so that's gonna be painful. Yeah, you take 11 points of piercing damage from the second barrel of buckshot. And he takes his second action to effectively reload. Jillian!
Jillian shoots at him.
Oh my god!
Why?
With a winging shot, hopefully.
Let me just check to see what winging shot actually does. Strength saving throw, huh? That's a good one for him, too. Not this time, however. The Lord is apparently with Jillian at this point, and her shot. Yeah, I was looking it up on your character sheet when
I was waiting to see if it hit.
no, it definitely hit. He doesn't have armor at all of any kind. He just has a shotgun and rage. So yeah, no, it definitely hit. Please roll damage. And he also falls over. Oh yeah, no. He's not looking very well. Which is part of another reason why he's fallen over. Reba.
Now that's enough for you. You hear me?
Reba.
Reba's mounting up. He's been knocked down and shot to her fairly well. She wants none of this. Gonna mount up and just yeah.
Okay, Reba's off. Alloy. Well, I mean, first of all, ow.
Yeah. First of all, ow, and second of all, would I be able to get on to Muffin, and also, since this guy's looking, well, less than spectacular after getting absolutely blammoed by Jillian, get a healing potion, just they're at least onto him.
You can give me a
On way out.
Give me a dex check.
$20.
You managed to get the bottle onto his chest without breaking it, and you can tell him what to do with it.
That'll put you back together. Just, this is one of the drinking ones, right?
Yes.
Just drink that. You'll be better afterwards. Sorry. And on, and away goes.
Okay, so back to his turn. He would have to expend half his movement to get up. How wise is this man? Not very. Has had a significant amount of money stolen from him by this woman. And so he's going to shoot at her again. And miss, because that's a long way off, and shotguns are more close-range weapons. So, hang on, second shot? No, that's even worse. Jillian! They're already riding away, and you can probably get away.
Okay, yeah, Jillian's gonna mount up and book it.
Okay, and you two are going to keep riding. Yeah, no, he takes another couple of shots, but it's too long range, and you're probably not going to be able to go back to that town again for a while, if ever. And eventually you do kind of stop and take stock and have a look at Alloy, who's underslept and copiously bleeding.
Yeah, and when given the chance, I will. Where there's a. That
I
was the
mean,
other one.
don't worry about it too much because there'll be at least another few days before. So don't worry too much about rolling. Just tell me what you're gonna do.
Right. I was just looking for the name of the thing I wanted to do.
Well, I did give you like healing word or something.
Yeah, that's. I was trying to. Oh, everything's still expanded when I was reading through it before. Whoops. Hang on.
Sorry, my fault. I believe that's in first levels, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to go ahead and do, just so she's not bleeding all over her stuff.
Yeah, so a word in the language of your people, and which is healed up a bit anyway.
Huh.
Still ow, but not bleeding.
That is going to be a big
Don't-
bruise.
Don't move around too much for a little while. You'll be right.
Mm.
I appreciate the thought, but it could have waited until maybe the next town. You didn't have to go breaking into the guy's place.
Maybe there's a lesson to be learned here.
Yeah.
Book notes.
Okay.
Jillian, isn't even your didn't they have a thing against stealing even?
Yes, but the Lord didn't exactly send me to deal with petty sins.
No, I know. I'm just saying this one should have known better.
Yes, she should have.
Oh well.
And Spot sort of looks up from Reba's saddle and going, "We went real fast, and the man made boom."
Well, we're all in one piece. That's all that matters. How are you doing?
Whee!
Scritch.
Another about a week's ride when you get to the last township before where you approximately think the Hillcrest Sanitarium is, because it's not in a well-inhabited area by any means. In fact, it's close enough to the thick of the wastes, the darkest parts of what's out there, that townships are rare. So I'll give you guys a moment before in your camp before you reach the nearest township to Hillcrest Sanitarium to decide how you are going to proceed and what your goals are. So
Jillian
you're sitting around the campfire having your conversation.
looks very pointedly to Aloy at some point during that.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've got strong feelings about that place. Now that we're getting near it, you're not gonna... You're not gonna start something as soon as we get there, right, Aloy?
You're
Well,
not.
there's factors. If they start things,
That's not what I asked.
I believe the word Jillian's looking for is instigate.
I don't
Yes.
have any boom on hand to start anything with yet.
Jillian looks to the thunder cannon.
That is not enough boom to blow up a building.
Just let's not threaten anyone, alright? We can't learn.
I'm letting you take the lead on this. I don't want to be even near the place, okay?
Perfect.
I'd rather just blow it up from a hillside.
Just keep that thought to yourself, alright?
And or possibly find the notes first.
Exactly, we've got things we need to learn. To do that, we need those doctors thinking more friendly.
Jillian has forgotten who she's
I don't. Given what we've already found out about the place, I don't think friendly is what they're going to be to begin with.
Friendly isn't happening. Boom is probably happening.
Sorry, but Jillian seems to have forgotten that she's traveling with a Yankee and a black woman.
Yes. Aloy, just keep your trap shut
They might
until they
might
instigate something.
They might want to ask some questions in the town first. Is Reba the wisest thought? Because Jillian is doing what Jillian's doing. I get that this is such a Jillian thing to do, and I'm
Direct.
all for it. Yeah, but there's wisdom to be had. Let's have some.
Yeah, and I'm kind of trying to get there. So yeah, we need to learn stuff, but why don't we see what we can learn near there first?
Yeah, of course.
You know, we don't want to just go riding on up, because I never go riding on up anywhere.
Also, the last time there was any direct talking with anyone with any authority, it kind of led to certain sheriffs getting shot that didn't need to be getting shot.
Actually, the last time you spoke to anybody with any kind of authority, you got shot. That blacksmith, remember?
That doesn't count. That is not
He had authority over his-
related conversation.
Yes, the different circumstance, isn't it, Aloy?
Still had authority over his own shop.
No, that's not my point. No. I'm talking about Jillian conversing with authority people. Not me.
Why?
Not all of us, just Jillian.
That's why what I was thinking, when we do, after the town, when we do eventually make our way to the sanitarium, we go in, much like Wyatt Norrington had a mother who had lost her senses. He needed somewhere she could be treated. We go in, we say, my mother, me, and my sister, she looks to Aloy, our poor mother's getting on in age. We need somewhere she can be kept safe. And we hired a trail guide, looks to Reba, given this godforsaken place we had to ride all the way out to just to get there.
So here's the question. What is going to stop you from turning on the Lord speak the minute you see something hoodoo happen?
We have to find that first. If
It'll be obvious! The whole place is hoodoo! Why do you think I want to blow it up?
Also, when Alloy has had her moment of breathing, calm down, keen mind, observant, good memory. Hillcrest Sanitarium's supposed to be closed. Only a specific sort of person knows it's still open. Reba may or may not remember, but Alloy would definitely, because she's probably been going through the notes in her spare time, and she's got all the mental advantages, so that's kind of her.
Also, it's closed. Or at least it's supposed to be closed. Everyone else will say it's closed.
Well, the people in town might know more if you approach them right, but to the rest of the wide world it's closed. So how would they have heard, how would you and your poor sister have heard about it. You need to come up with some potentially hoodoo story.
Because everyone else thinks it's closed. Town might not, because they're, in immediate proximity. But here's a thought: how is a rando lady and her sister supposed to know about a place made of hoodoo, supposedly closed?
Well, we ran into White Norrington and his supposedly cured mother. And once we've gone through the town, we'll have a better understanding of what might be going on out there.
For that matter, we knew them. And they pointed us in that general direction. We're, I don't know, something other than just curious. We need to come up with a better story than that. But we are what we are. We're involved in it, so...
Alloy, intelligence check, please.
Cogitating 22.
Well, that, I'm trying to remove one thing, because I seem to have put a hand out by mistake, and it's not letting me delete. Here it is. Yes, thank you. If they're passing Reba off as a trail guide, one of the things that might work for around town, at the very least, if not inside, she might have heard rumors and need to check them out for her job. Either to avoid, to be paid off to make sure people avoid it, or to be paid off to bring the right sort of people. And Alloy would know the "step into my parlor, said the spider to the fly" thing.
Well, if Reba's playing trail guide, that would add on to the feasibility of a story. In fact, that would probably be an even better story, considering if you're being a trail guide, you would need to know all the ins and outs and rumors and weird stuff and possibly find ways to make a profit out of it if you're out for yourself.
Which, if I'm your guide, I am.
Yep.
Oh, and mine, that whole exchange, knowing Alloy was talking about Jillian. Oh, Reba knew. She was just messing with Alloy, watching her sputter. Anyway. Well, that works great, at least in the town.
Probably works great for the closed place, too.
Well, and it might work in terms of the closed place, because I would at least need to know who to speak to if it turned... Well, assuming it's not a case of being paid off to have people avoid the place, rather being paid off to bring people in, I would need to know who to hand them off to.
Yep.
We might be able to get an introduction in that fashion.
And some operational details to give to people for veracity's sake.
Exactly. As well, basically fill in the details for
Yep.
for guiding purposes.
And
probably not overly happy about any of this, just by the way.
I wonder how much
the necessity, but there's a certain amount of... There's a sense that,
There's a certain amount of bald-faced lying going on here.
Yeah, and, it's like the tools for the job, but the tools for the job are just not. I
wonder how much black powder's in town.
We're not going around stealing kegs of black powder. All right.
I could just buy them.
Let's not do that on the first day in town.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to take Yankee currency anyway.
She
I
has
need more boom. I need a lot
she
more
has
boom.
other money.
It's going to attract attention that we don't need on the first day.
I'm a guide. I don't need that much gunpowder.
You're the
At least
guy.
not if I'm good at my job.
I, on the other hand, am not, and I can also. And out comes the sonic screwdriver. Click, and I look like Martha.
Mm.
And
My
Spot-
eyes,
just-
when my eyes stop watering.
Let's just try and keep it subtle-like for now, Aloy.
And Spot's ears are flattened and just going. Then looks. I miss her. She made good chicken.
She did. She really did. That chicken was so good. It was like, thank you.
Boom. Do you want me to bring you dinner? I bet I could find an interesting snake.
Looking up to see gauge what time it is.
It's certainly dinner time. Yeah, it could supplement the trail rations because you've long run out of Martha's nice fresh stuff, and it's been a while since the last saloon. So
Be safe, but yes, of course.
or maybe I could find a jackrabbit.
Oh, that would be wonderful. But be safe.
And Spot just you off into the dark.
Nobody else knows any. All she heard was, "Be safe," and boing. Back to the conversation, just like nothing.
I have stopped asking. I cannot math that.
Comes back about 20 minutes later, dragging a jackrabbit about her size.
Damn!
Quiet applause.
If you stew that, it'll probably serve 3 with enough for leg for Spot.
We're stewing that. Spot, get the leg.
It's okay. I can just take the insides, the squishy bits.
Or rather, the squishy bits.
You see this leading and looking for waiting for the cleaning of the kill.
Mm-hmm.
That cat is terrifying.
Spot is not. Spot is wonderful.
Licks blood off muzzle.
Aww.
Yeah, I didn't say terrifying meant not wonderful. I just said terrifying.
The grumpy lady's terrifying, and she's nice, if grumpy.
I'm like,
If
am
I
I wise enough not to translate that?
If I sit in the grumpy lady's lap, can I get pets? She got good hands.
Jillian, can Spot sit in your lap?
Julian still a little bit weirded out that she's literally back and forthing with the cat, but she nods.
To be fair, this has been happening for a few months now. If you haven't got used to it yet, you probably never will.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's just Spot just boing, curls up in her lap.
She would very much like some pets.
She gives some pets.
Her, but it's see, good hands. Oh, good hands. Good spot. Yes, that's a good spot. Yes.
That's a good spot. Or not that. That's a good particular spot on Spot.
I am a good
Yep.
spot, and that is a good spot.
As she said, that is a good spot, and so is she. Thank
Oh,
you.
the wonders of linguistics.
And yeah, I guess Reba will be the one to do the cleaning of it and whatnot. I suppose.
And the stewing, probably.
Yep.
We shall now roll the hand of fate. yeah, that that is a good solid jackrabbit, and you've had some hunted like this before. This was just a good kill, and you know how to make it into a great stew. So it's a nice meal for y'all.
I'll give Spot some of the squishy bits, but I'll set some of them aside so that there's some for Spot a little bit later as well, as needed. So we have some idea of at least an approach for the town, and the beginnings of a possible approach for the sanitarium. But that's assuming it's a matter of them drawing a certain type of folk in, which, well, that's going to depend on what exactly they're doing there, whether or not they want to draw more people in. But
We
Well,
certainly
the
want to
clearer
find
picture,
out.
once we get to the town and get an idea of the people there.
mm,
Yeah, because we'd certainly want to know if they're already on the lookout for people of me.
about how far Yankees?
No, me specific.
Your memory is not that bad. Her ex-fiance, well, her family, her parents wanted to send her there until she agreed.
That's right.
And so
Yeah.
it really is just what, Yankees? No, me specifically. What? Oh!
Right, the husband or fiance or
No, the
no, you guys were married. That's right.
No, they weren't married.
Okay.
But the fiance was basically the parents going, look, it's either do something normal and marry this one, or agree to marry this one, or we're sending you.
Right, that's what it was. I remember now. Thank you.
If you never made it there, Aloy, I don't know how they would recognize you.
But if it was supposed to be for Reba, if it was supposed to be closed when they threatened to send her there, they must have got word somehow. And that was up north.
Oh, Jillian.
Wait, so the timing was when you were going through those notes. Did it say when that place was closed down? I can't recall off the top of my head because we've been going through so much.
Given that I'm being fuzzy on years, it would have been closed a while before they threatened to send you there.
That's what I was trying to. I was trying to.
I'm giving that to Smeagol so that Alloy can answer the question.
Sorry.
One of the things that I feel the need to remind some of the more excitable folks of y'all is that no, not just you. Believe me, it's not always just you.
Okay.
Is that do not assume that when I am saying a thing that it is directed to all concerned. If someone has asked a question to a character, usually when I am providing the answer, I'm providing the answer to the player of the character that got asked so they can answer it.
Let's see. And I'm pulling notes and just papers from pretty much anywhere. I've got them bolted to me. And, well, it would have been closed for at least 2 years by that point that they were threatening me with there. So, yeah.
Okay, so it was already closed when they were threatening to send you. How did they know? And you were all the way up north. So how did that news get that far? I mean, yeah, news travels, but
Still, remember what I had to boom that started this whole mess of me, not being allowed certain places because boom, an entire zombie workforce and lots of ghost rock. And my fiance.
well, chances are whatever they're doing there probably involves ghost rock. Ancestors know everything else we've dealt with has been related to that in some form or fashion.
Well, let's face it, everything in the West, as it is
Well,
in
yeah.
this game, is associated
Involved
with
with
Ghost
Ghost
Rock.
Oh, yeah.
in specific, it was probably the fiance who exploded who made the suggestion to send me there in the first place, and he would have known because he was up to his eyeballs in hoodoo anyway.
That or your parents were into some hoodoo shit too.
I mean, the only other option is something I don't want to really think about that much. Because then I'll start doing the math, and if I logic it to have been a thing, I will need a lot more boom. And a lot more lab space.
Not yet.
Not yet, indeed.
Eloy, I promise you, if boom becomes required, I will not stand in your way.
I've already been working on designs, too.
Of course you are. At least you're consistent. So, if there's a chance that they might at least know you, would they know you by face and name, or just name?
Well, that's not her name.
Well, Aloy's not my name.
Well,
Neither is
really.
O'Toole.
Okay, fair.
And you've been teaching her how to henna dye her hair to black, so. Because she was doing it with boot polish when you two met. And riding in the desert has a way of changing a face.
Yeah. Well.
They might, but it's not as likely as all that if they have a picture that they'll recognize her face.
Yeah, like Reba's now thinking on it is really looking at.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
seeing the time. Yeah,
and that one's for you because wisdom, high perception.
Yeah. Yeah. So seeing on second thought, you have changed a lot, even over the last few months.
Also,
and the glasses hide a lot.
It's amazing how these things change the shape of a face.
The whole Superman Clark Kent thing actually does work.
That's body language more than anything else, to be fair. Have you seen that?
Yes, the Christopher Reeve. I've seen it. That's why I love him so much.
I love a good body actor. Really do. That's why I'm the body actor for Darth Vader does not get enough credit.
Very much so.
Anyway.
Yeah, no. Okay, on that score, I think we'll be all right. And yeah, like you said,
and if all else fails,
yeah, she still looks
holding up the screwdriver. But
actually, to be fair, well, you would have had to ask her to take down the disguise because she still looks like Martha. But I'm assuming you asked and she did. So.
Yeah, I let that peter out after.
Yeah, but that's about an hour or so.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you'd have to deliberately dispel it if you wanted to peter out before an hour.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
So
I've done that.
It's handled. It's sorted. But you've got a basic idea. Yeah. So
from here, I guess we. Okay. Well. Yeah. We've got the basic general idea or I've got the general basic idea of how I'm handling things. But why are you two there? I'm guiding you there for that. I don't already know the lay of the land, so why am I bringing people?
Jillian, this one's yours. No trail guide would go this far towards the wastes without some extra firepower. It means splitting the pay 3 ways, but it also means it's more likely that they're going to get to where they're supposed to be going alive without undead zombie buffalo, vampires, creeping dark in mines, all the other shit you've run into. And to be fair, at the end of the day, there's no explaining Alloy because Alloy has Muffin. That's where it all falls down, but it's gonna anyway.
So the one of thought is all 3 of them being trail guides, pretending to be that.
Well, guide and
muscle,
yeah.
Okay. Well, this far out on the waste, even just going from town to town is a dangerous prospect. So, wouldn't it be unreasonable to have a trio
Okay,
and
that works. Hmm.
Aloy
That
and
works.
Muffin? They aren't exactly a traveling farm life.
Muffin, spin.
Muffin spins. Boop, 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 boop.
But if we were scouting ahead
Hmm.
to bring some folk who don't really know their way around here and wouldn't be able to defend themselves, that's a fair reason to be asking more than a few questions about the area.
That works. That works. That works. All right. I think we have an approach. Like I said, at least for the town, we'll just have to see how we play it from there. But I think we have enough to at least go to the town, look around, ask around, feel around, for lack of a better way to put it, and then we'll find some place to hole up and debrief. I think is the
Mhm.
word.
Push comes to shove, you're not that far a ride out at your current campsite, and it looks safe enough. You've
Hmm.
found a nice little mesa windbreak kind of a thing,
Yeah.
and
If-
Spot is like, I like this place. It has hunting. Ooh, yeah,
and
scritch there, grumpy lady, please scritch there.
you got right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right there. Right there. Perfect. You were making that cat very, very happy.
Good hands.
Jillian keeps scritching.
And if nothing, yeah, and looking around, this is a good spot. So if worst case, we can ride back out here.
Mm.
Right. Well, we've got a good meal in us. I don't know about
You're
you, but
welcome.
yeah, thank you very much. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready to turn in, and we'll head out first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And that's actually really well timed because we're about at the halfway mark. So when we return in about 5 minutes, there shall be town,
Why? Welcome back.
and we're back. The our little group of Wild West adventurers are trucking through to a little closer to the waste than most people generally like to go. Um, Looking at investigating the town nearest Hillcrest Sanitarium. So morning comes, breakfast happens. Spot has decided to snuggle up to Alloy for the morning. I share the attention.
I'm gonna just give appropriate scritches.
It's a little louder, so I'll turn that down a smidge. There we go.
And I'll pull out the bits that I'd set aside and give them to Spot for breakfast.
No, and then back to Alloy. Boom. Everybody needs some cuddles. Especially me.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, you can't hear this.
Yeah. Oh, you hear is meow, meow.
No, not even. It's a
Oh.
little. The speak with animals thing is a little. They think more than they wow.
So it's a little, yeah, so just sort of looking at the expression and yeah, thanks, you little glorious oddity.
And once that's done, it's a couple of hours ride into the town proper. The coughing is actually rather apt. One of the first things you notice about half an hour away from town, when you can just start to see it over the horizon, is a haze of dust blowing across the area. It seems awfully localized to Reba and to Jillian, because you guys are kind of used to weather patterns out on the plains one way or another. Alloy wouldn't know.
Hmm.
I mean, she thinks it's interesting, but it's like, is this natural? To
Glancing over at
Reva and Jillian, no.
yeah, glancing over at over at Jillian, seeing if her take's the same as mine, like, which is basically just a look of, is this weird to you?
Julian's a little bit concerned.
Book out notes, and if anyone glances, it's either ridiculous math, sketches of the clouds, and little doodles of what looks like a ship, except in the cloud.
The town, when you enter its outskirts, I mean, as is usual with towns of this type, there's little homesteads sort of dotted around the outside, and most of those look abandoned. There's a couple that look like they might still have life in them, but it's not like people have been caring for the place. Insofar as you can see through the dust, which is kind of itchy and uncomfortable, but mostly it's just it's hard to see through most of the time. So you can imagine that the buildings would be a bit weather beaten, but it's more than that. It's neglect. But in some cases you can see like people making a vague attempt with the gardens, just for food. Not doing very well, frankly. This is more growing season, and half of their kitchen gardens look dead. Some poor sod has tried to hang some of their washing out, and that's getting covered in dust and a little bit tattered.
After sketching the clouds, I've veered into just things are getting sketched that look like mini greenhouses, a fucking washing machine, a dryer, like just stuff that would make this kind of bullshit livable.
I keep going. I'm all like, I've got my bandana over my face, and I keep looking, spanning or panning the town, and looking over at Jillian, just like, with the look in my eyes, like, this ain't right, like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are we on the same page here? And
Jillian's grimacing.
Spot has kind of flattened as far as possible on Reba's saddle. Ears just.
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of leaning over her just a bit, trying to keep most of the dust off.
Town's not really any better. It's the time of day when you'd normally get people out and about, and there's one or two people, but for the dusty weather and the wind blowing, they're moving awfully slowly. Mostly you see them as shapes. They're not letting you get too close. The water pump in the center of town it still seems to function, but it's as neglected, rusted, and weather-beaten as everything else in town. The general store, the sign is hanging by one bit of chain from its original, and you can't even read the name on it anymore. The saloon may be open, but it's hard to tell. A lot of the other businesses in town, their windows have been boarded up, and you don't know whether that's because they're closed or because they're trying to keep the dust from destroying the windows, or a few others haven't even been boarded up, and somebody once had a very expensive plate glass window that is now no longer. That was a dressmaker's. The look of it is that this was once actually a fairly prosperous town, but now it looks like it's been abandoned for 20 years or more. despite the occasional ghostly figure through the dust.
Jillian looks about for a church.
There is one sort of off. It's, given you're in the center of town, it's sort of off to the east a bit, and from where you are, the only reason you know it's a church is because you can just about make out the steeple and the cross on top. The sheriff's office doesn't look to be particularly open. It's one of the ones with the boarded up windows, so you can't really tell, but
I'm gonna try to get closer over to Jillian, so I'm not having to yell over the wind and everything. This place looks like it's been abandoned for decades, and whatever people we're seeing, I'm not totally convinced are. I kind of recommend we probably not linger, at least, if not get the heck out of here now.
There's some foul thing hanging over this place, but
Well, yeah, and chances are it's probably from the sanitarium.
it's fair likelihood. But we need to see if there's someone that'll talk to us.
Muffin, over to the water thing.
chunk, 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 chunk.
I'm gonna get off and just start examining this this rusted ass looking thing.
Are you poking it, or are you just looking?
Yeah, I'm poking at it.
Investigation.
That is a 24.
It's functional. The water coming out of it is just as dusty as everything else, but from what you're able to tell with your various testing methods, it's potable. It's just kind of cloudy.
Ugh. At least it's not poison.
It probably tastes a bit silty, but
It's exceedingly hard water.
it's a different kind of taste. It's more I mean it's water with like basically little bits of very fine sand.
This tastes like I fell face first into a beach.
Without the salt.
So we're late.
Missing all the interesting.
Well, I'm.
This needs a filter at the very least. Ugh.
So still watching Aloy having gone off to do her thing. I'm still talking to Jillian. You want to try to find some thing that'll talk to you here? Fine, but I don't. Well, you might find something. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's a lead. Give us some kind of idea of what's happened out here.
I'm going to head to the general store.
I'll follow your lead on that, but
Well, while you guys are talking, you see Alloy wander up to the general store. Are you bringing Muffin?
Yeah, I brought Muffin along, and I'm saying, okay, Muffin, stay right here. Don't come through the door. We don't want you to get stuck like last time.
Boop, boop. Boop, boop.
Jillian dismounts to catch up to Aloy.
I'll ride over to the general store, but I'm not getting off the horse, and I'm leading Jillian's.
The door does open.
Hello.
It's very poorly stocked, and what stock there is dusty. Whatever. If there are people that live here, they have not been doing a whole lot in the way of shopping. Either they're in no position to, or they're fending for themselves rather than go outside. Um, perception check, Alloy.
15.
There's somebody. You're hearing scuffling from behind the counter. Kind of under the counter, like someone's ducked underneath it.
Hello?
Jillian steps in after Aloy.
I'm gonna wander towards the counter.
Are you peering over the counter, or are you just going up to it?
Just lean.
There's a shotgun in your face. Back.
You're here to buy things, not to shoot.
You are looking at a very thin, very pale young man with a very premature streak of white in his hair. He's probably about your age, and he looks terrified, and he's just like, back up, Yankee.
Okay.
Back!
Jillian whirls about.
And he stands up.
Not here to get into anything. Just looking for things to pick up for more trekking.
What? Why are you here? You're muted, Ethan, and Reba's outside anyway, so.
Yeah, both of y'all just went dead silent for me.
Weird, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, whatever you said before was muted.
Yes, no, guy is still pointing shotgun at you. Really not trusting one little bit and wondering why in the fucking hell y'all are here. The shotgun is not moving. I mean, trembling a little, but...
Easy now, mister.
Please put that down. I just want to talk, okay?
I ain't so sure
it's hard
that
to
is.
It's really hard to think enough to talk with that pointed in this direction.
Persuasion check, please.
17.
He lowers it, but he's not letting it go.
That is much better, thank you.
Why are you here?
Well, we're here with the guide. We were mostly just looking around for more supplies for me and her. We're sort of the bodyguards for the guide who's just looking to scout rumors and things out and around for places.
Deception check.
8.
Shotgun gets pointed back in your face.
Hey now!
Hey! I'm serious!
Bullshit!
I am bad at actually explaining things.
Bullshit! Get out!
Just
Aloy,
turn around and start walking out.
come on now, Aloy.
This is before Jillian even gets that sentence out. I'm headed towards the door.
Looks up at Jillian, who seems to make a touch more sense and isn't a weird-ass Yankee. You want to try that again? Why are you here?
We're going to the sanitarium.
Looks at Aloy's retreating back. You know, I don't reckon even she deserves that.
No, it's not like that. But, I know something's happened to this town. To you. your people here, and I just want to find out what that is.
If we knew. Well, I don't anyhow. I. It ain't good. I mean, people go missing all the time. We ain't got half the folks here we used to. Ma and Pa and my baby sister ain't been seen for, well, in Pa's case, years. Ma's case, about a year. My little
Missing
sister.
how?
How else is there missing? One day
Well,
they're there, the next day they're gone.
I mean, there's a difference between someone goes riding out and they don't come back, and someone goes into their bed and they're not there in the morning.
Well, my little sister was that last. Couldn't say about the other two. There's some people ride out and they don't come back. It's 'cause they didn't want to come back. Rest of them get snatched off a horse. Horse probably get et by something.
And no one's ever seen nothing of what it could be that's taking them. No tracks, no blood.
I ain't. Don't ask questions this close to the wastes.
Hmm.
It's just been getting real bad the last few years.
So this all started a few years back.
Well, it ain't never been the safest place to live, but it's kind of why we did so well. We were one of the last outposts of any kind of buying bits and pieces before you get to the wastes. So if folks, a few years ago, your Yankees question wouldn't have been so odd. These days ain't no one on the streets unless they gotta be.
When did this dust start settling on the town?
2-3 years ago, something like that. Not not as bad as all this. It's been building up. But I don't got a whole lot in the way of information. I'm just a shopkeeper. I
understand.
wasn't even supposed to be ready to take this place over yet, but there ain't no one else.
Do you know anyone who's been to the sanitarium and back? Does anyone come back for food, supplies?
If anyone came back from there, I ain't seen them.
Fair enough. I appreciate this.
This is about all he's got, really.
You,
He's not pointing the shotgun at anybody. He's just, but he's still got it in his hands, and it's still shaking a little bit.
just stay safe, alright?
That's the only answer she gets.
She tips her hat and heads back out.
Okay. The alloy is probably still on the little general store porch.
I've wandered just a hair. I'm leaning off it, trying to get a better look at the sign.
Yeah, you still can't read any of it. It's been effectively sandblasted.
I'm looking at where its detachment, its attachment point, and I'm just trying to see if is that something I could just put back together, or would I have to get new chain for that?
Yeah, you'd have to get new chain for that. The one that's still holding is rusted almost straight through, and the one that's broken is actually just been corroded and sandblasted to crunchy point. And does it really matter? It's not like anyone can read it in this anyway.
Come on now, Aloy.
Just very displeased engineer noises.
And you come out to find Muffin and Reba still on her horse, holding the reins of Jillian's, just like, you're going to wander off and leave me with the horses. Like, somebody had to stay with them. We don't know what's going on.
While they were doing that, perception check from Reba.
Coming up. Nat 20.
You have, while you were waiting, caught a couple of glimpses of a couple of the people who were on the street. And they are people as far as you can tell. They are moving slowly because apparently they are underfed. They are clearly tired. They are trying to move with a purpose, but they just do not have the strength.
Jillian makes sure Aloy is following as she goes back up to Reba. Shopkeeper said something started happening a few years back. Folks started going missing. This dust started to stick around the town. Doesn't know anything of the sanitarium, though, but something got summoned, something cursed this place. Hard to tell.
In all fairness, Jillian would have realized from the tone of that young man's voice that even if he doesn't know anything about what's happening in the sanitarium, he doesn't expect anyone who goes there to come back alive.
Did you get anything more about the sanitarium itself?
No. I asked him if he knew anyone who'd come back to town looking for food or the like, and he didn't say he didn't know nothing. Didn't sound like he expected anyone to come back if they did go out that way.
It's not the first place I've gone to that had that reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Although the first sanitarium. Y'all take me to the nicest places.
How do you all agree with me that that place needs to go?
It's not what was in disagreement, Aloy.
It's just a question of whether or not it's safe to do it that route. There's ways and there's ways. You can't just go blowing everything up. You might make it worse. And I was able to look around a little bit while I was out here. I mean, I didn't actually go anywhere, but I mean, you know, I was looking around, and yeah, there are more than a few people.
Well, there are
Probably,
a few people.
Yeah, I was about to say probably just a few, but they are people as far as I could tell.
Incidentally, the one or two that you saw that you actually recognized as people were heading in the general direction of what you can see from this distance is probably the church.
And Jillian, the two that I saw, they look to be heading over toward the church over there. So I'm assuming you want to go give that a look.
Yeah, Treacher might know something.
Or lead on this, I guess, because you know what I'm thinking.
But you're always thinking anytime we get into a situation like this, boom. At least you're consistent.
This is a lot more than boom. That place needs to be a crater.
Anyway.
Figure out what we're dealing with first.
The Spot looks up at Reba. Wouldn't Boom spit the funny rocks everywhere?
That was my thought. Like that's what I said. You know, like I said, you know, you apply boom to everything. Sometimes you make it worse. But you know,
there might even be dust, and you might breathe in the dust, and then you'd have the funny rock in you.
Oh, that's Spot raised a good point. Aloy.
You're taking advice from the kids. It's Flitty. It's Flitty all over again.
Yeah, it's a good point. Hey, from the like Reba will take good advice, good points from anybody. She will not discriminate. Aloy, if you go blowing up everything, it ends up in the air. So if you blow up a bunch of those rocks and they end up in the air as dust, what happens when you breathe it in? Don't answer that. I'm not sure I want to know. But it's something to think about. Like I said, there's ways and there's ways.
Book, page, going backwards through it to like the first 3 to 4.
There'd be a lot of maths, and it might drive you crazy. It might give you powers. It might do both.
And I'm just holding that up to Reva.
Who can't see it because of the dust, and now it's getting sandblasted.
Well, if Alloy is very intelligent, she'll know the distance to be able to show it, to see it. Although you do get Spot going, bat, bat, bat.
Just pushing it away. I said, anyway.
This just proves I didn't boom hard enough.
Let's get moving.
Let's get moving before I facepalm myself to death.
Okay, so where are you moving?
Towards the church.
I'm following Jillian because I'm assuming she's heading to the church.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow. If Jillian heads to the church, I'm just gonna follow her lead on that.
Once you get close enough to the church to actually see it through the dust, you can see that in this case, people have actually tried to keep it maintained. I mean, they've had minimal success, but they've at the very least kept the little graveyard up at the front as maintained as they can. There's been somebody out there. It looks like some of the names on the tombstones have been sort of recarved, so that when, because with the dust sandblasting everything, they didn't want the names to wear out. They didn't want the dead to be forgotten. The garden bits aren't doing so well, but and the paint on the front door is showing some significant wear, but that part at least they're trying. So whoever's in there is got the energy reserves, if nothing else, to do the thing. It's on kind of a little hill, so you've got kind of right now rather weather-beaten stone stairs going up to the front doors.
Jillian glances about and heads right up to the door.
Okay, well, the door is actually locked. The windows are intact, and you can see a faint light in them, so somebody's in.
As you see the footprints of the people who have been going that way.
Survival check. Just about. It's difficult because of the wind blowing the dust around, but you can see it's recent enough that you can still see a bit of remaining scuff.
So they went to the locked door?
Yeah.
Jillian knocks.
Little window in the door opens up, and sort of pale gray eye, rather wrinkly round the corners. We ain't seen you before.
New to town, Reverend. I was hoping to speak with you.
And your friends are?
They're my companions.
That ain't a mule. Boop boop.
That is Muffin. I made Muffin. Muffin is amazing.
Aloy is a machinist of a sorts.
Well, we ain't in the business of turning away anyone who needs a shelter. Little window shuts. Chunk. This sort of, well, first a big chunk, and then a clunk of fairly heavy tumblers, and then the door creaks open. It's a fairly sizable damn door. The gentleman that peers around is gaunt, wrinkled. He's quite old, tough as jerky, though. Looks, ponders, sighs, and then drags the door open enough so that Muffin should be able to fit through.
Yay! Okay, come on, Muffin. Let's be careful. Get you in here.
Jillian helps with the doors.
Yeah. But it's easier shutting the doors with the strapping young woman's help. And there's not that many people in the church. The ones that are there are old before their time in the case of the adults. There are some moderately young children, maybe 2 or 3, 4 or 5 adults, all looking at you in significant concern. All of them are woefully thin. But it's, with the adults in particular, it's difficult to tell whether they're, I mean, they're not, there's no sort of facial wrinkles that would suggest that they're, most of them are late teens to mid-20s, but they look 30s odd. Just from bearing and something in their eyes, if not older. The kids just look traumatized.
Hmm. Is there somewhere we could talk, Reverend, not to disturb their prayers?
Well, there's my...
Unless it's a one-room place.
No, there's a couple of... I do live in the back, but the reason I'm hesitating is looks Muffin. That ain't gonna fit. I only let him in because I didn't reckon that dust in joints would be a good thing.
Thanks for that. He can fold up, but not really enough to keep all the
He wouldn't fit.
out there.
No, he wouldn't fit through the door, even if he was, unless he folds.
No, I'm mostly just saying thanks for letting him in, because even with the shielding folded out, he can't really.
Can somebody say whether it's all? I just don't want my parishioners to worry about it. Him.
I'm. Well, he can.
And actually extends his neck so that he's sort of looking at looking at the Reverend. Whoop.
He's all right. He's all right. Think of him like a big dog or a really curious mule.
Put him in sleep mode.
Really curious. Could you ask Muffin to stay there, please, Aloy?
Just reach, pat, 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 boop boop. Yep. Leans head on shoulder.
Muffin likes you.
The look he's
Okay.
giving Jillian just says help.
Okay, Muffin, neck back. Let's find a place to situate you. And I'm just looking around and having Muffin.
There's a spot by the doors that he can sort of go into fold mode.
Yeah, I'm just having him prance a little bit and sort of act like be basically do the whole like Muffin happy sort of thing.
Yeah,
Just to be non-threatening.
Yeah, except the 7 or so people in the church are still freaking out.
Okay, Muffin. Settle down. Stay here. Go into It's just watch mode. Don't try to not make any noise, okay? There we go.
Hmm. So yeah, the Reverend leads you through and into the back, where there's a comfy-ish kind of sitting room, probably a holdover from better times for the town. Um, just it's clearly a place that's mostly for one, but does occasionally have guests who require less formal comfort from their reverend. Um, Gestures for them to take a seat. Now, as I imagine y'all know, we don't get a lot of strangers around these parts. Why are you here?
We're here to help with casting out whatever darkness has been put upon this place.
Look, looks at you all. Focuses on Jillian for a good while. I can see that from you. I am not really familiar enough with other traditions to know about your friend here. Nodding in Reba's general direction. And I don't know what to make of this one.
Well, the three of us have been doing this together for some time now.
Spot kind of looks up at Reba and goes, there are little kids and they look scaredy. I should go be good at them.
Go.
Looks at the Reverend looks at you, looks at the cat, looks at you, looks at the cat. Uh-huh. Now,
She's gonna look in on the kids.
uh-huh. I am being very careful because I don't know what would offend, but I'd rather not. Now, you say you're here to help with this. You want to elaborate on that some?
Well, what little we know at the moment, we have reason to believe that something has happened at the sanitarium. Someone's doing something there, and that's likely what's responsible for what's happened to your town.
Well, that's
But
entirely possible.
we're still trying to get a better picture of what has been happening.
Oh, what do you know so far?
Starting a few years back, people started to go missing from outside from their own homes. The dust started gathering around the town.
Own Homes is a bit more recent. That's been in the last few months. I reckon that's a bit why people started taking less than care with their homes. They reckon if people didn't know, or well, if just people didn't know that people were living in those homes, that maybe it passed them by, but ain't always worked.
So, not to interrupt, I'm just
No, I just
clarifying. So it's escalated. It started about 3 years ago, but it has escalated.
yeah, it was
Hmm.
just that it was a mite dusty and some folks went off range riding and didn't come back, and that's never been anything new. We first noticed something was wrong when a fella had just bought an engagement ring for a sweetheart, went out and didn't come back. And we didn't reckon he wouldn't come back. When she went missing a few weeks later, we reckoned that maybe she tried to go after him. We found some of her belongings ways out of town. They were not in good shape. We started being careful, but folks still gotta go out. Beyond them, it was slow. Some folks we didn't know if it was they were looking for something further away from the wastes. They were trying to get out of the situation before it got worse, or they were just taken, or maybe some combination of the above. We don't know. That when folks don't leave a message or nothing, there's no real way of telling.
No one's seen anything. No creatures coming out of the wastes or the like.
None that'll talk about it. If they have, they it's not something that they'll even come to their reverend with. As I said, the people from their own homes was only in the last few months. It started getting particularly bad about a year ago when the dust got so that it was hard to see, and we couldn't let our young'uns play outside no more, because anyone playing in the town square, you might not get all of them back. With it being as hard to see as it is, it ain't like you'd be able to tell one way or t'other.
Has your congregation, any of them, come to you with something strange, even dreams or something that just ain't right?
Them, not that they've told me about. I've just nothing that clear. We who follow the Lord don't always get as direct as some. I just have a bad feeling some of us are called to a very different sort of calling, and I'm just here to caretake those that are left.
Oh, that's just as important.
Perhaps.
But I was just trying to get an idea of
No, I
what could
know.
be responsible, but it doesn't seem like anything's leaving even the slightest trace of it.
I mean, it's funny. Folks weren't too happy about having the sanitarium even that kind of distance away. Too close. Too much chance for the folks that less charitable folk would disdain, I suppose. Too much chance for something to go wrong. So they thought once the place closed down, then things would be better. And worse
How
since
long
it
ago
did.
was that?
About 5, 6 months before this all started. So nearly 4 years ago now.
Well, we are intending to head out there. We Jillian here, she spoke with the general store, and apparently anybody that's gone out there hasn't come back. Uh,
Not entirely true.
oh,
I don't know who's out there or in there, but that don't mean that. I mean, it's a sanitarium. It might still have a patient or two. I can't just leave them without even thinking about supplies for them. I drop by once a month, the pack mule. Just have a look. I don't go in. No one much answers the door anyhow, but I leave my supplies and go about my business. I don't know who uses them. I might be aiding and abetting things I don't much like to think about, but I can't take the chance that there's some innocents in there to starve.
Better to not take the chance. You are correct. I see the merit in that.
It's not a good place, I tell you that. There doesn't seem to be much in the way of life in it, and as I say, the door's shut and locked. But there's sounds. Couldn't tell you exactly where from. Hearing ain't what it used to be.
So you never seen anything strange when you ride out there, other than the sanitarium itself.
Look at it outside. It's not. If it was anything out there, it ain't come close to me yet.
How soon before you bring out the next, batch of supplies, as it were?
3-4 days.
Jillian nods to Reba at that idea.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a look.
We're thinking about taking those supplies out rather than you, if that's all
Or,
right with you.
I don't go in.
or we could let him take the supplies and we find somewhere to observe as close as we can get to still be inside with all this dust and see what manner of person eventually opens the door to take the food.
Or you can find a back way in.
Well, we're certainly going to have to look about the area one way or the other.
It was a thought, but I don't think we can afford to wait 3 or 4 days.
That is true.
Well, it it ain't like they're expecting me any particular time. I'd still need overnight to get everything together.
Yeah, of
We
course.
ain't got that much, but I suppose a bit more now. But if you can wait a night,
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we should probably head out early anyway.
Hmm.
That's probably the best not be traveling at night in this.
what do you mean head out? If you're following me, sorry, I'm sure there's bits of this that I'm missing.
Sorry, bad choice of words.
You were
If we weren't going to wait for the supplies one way or the other, it's better to just head out tomorrow anyway, even if we weren't waiting for the supplies. But we can, since we're going to go ahead and do that.
fair enough. Just try not to let on if you talk to any of the townsfolk. They panic enough as it is.
Of course, it doesn't sound like there's much danger to be gained here, unfortunately. But we appreciate this, Reverend.
So, what are you gonna do until tomorrow?
What time is it, roughly?
About lunchtime, this stage.
Well, I mean, we don't really want to impose if we can avoid it, but I don't know that we have much choice. Our camp is a couple hours out. Um,
Well, I've got an attic.
and we can see to ourselves as far as that goes. We just need some space, and that would work if you all don't mind.
Space that's safe.
The attic is safe enough, I would reckon, unless you ain't a trustin' sort in the Word of God.
Flashing back to the teleportation incident, and just like, well,
Jillian looks to Riva, the way things are in this town. Church
long-
might very well be
oh yeah,
safer than the
no,
saloon. Not
not
just in a physical means.
Book out notes.
as long as I ain't got to talk to nobody to accidentally offend him, we'll be fine.
Getting a little bit of a look from the Reverend.
It was an awkward situation.
We've been through quite a bit. But
Still taking
I
notes.
reckon. What is she doing?
occupying herself. It's better this way.
And then the notes veer into more flying ship sketches.
How far out is the sanitarium from here?
Good 3 hours ride.
Alright.
Yeah, that is close. That is awfully close. I can. Yeah. All right.
A fairly fast ride. You try not to stay out there longer than you gotta.
We still got most of the day. We could ride out part way, see what the terrain is like, see if we can spot signs of anything else that have been moving about, and then we'll...
Alloy with the good memory. They the Reverend said they found the would-be fiance's belongings out there. Maybe they could elaborate on the kind of mess those belongings were in.
I get to that point. I went through took notes on it on the stuff, then looked at it. Page back to the actual bit of that notes. Circled that. What kind of mess were those belongings you found in?
Well, the bag itself was shredded. Some things that the basics, the food, the clothing looked wrong. Like it had been sitting out on a line for maybe 10 years in harsh weather. Some of the sentimentals, if you like, were just plain gone. There was what we used to have a photographer. There was a picture. The frame was all rusted. The paper that those things come on was there. The picture itself was gone.
Rapid aging of all the matter.
And the paper itself looked fine. Just the picture was gone.
So the paper was there, picture was gone.
Mhm.
Interesting. And all the other non-essential, non-personal items aged to the point of falling apart.
More or less. And the perishables of food had entirely perished. Even the non-perishables were showing some age.
To the age of that sort that you wouldn't see unless it had been there for decades, he said.
Something along those lines. I mean, I ain't quite the mathy sort that you are, but I had a look at some of what was left. Those few bits that might still be worthwhile as something. I recall as how the jerky, and you know, jerky never really dies,
Mm-hmm.
didn't taste of nothing. There, it was like leather. Not
Trying to.
just like, not just the texture, but there wasn't any goodness to it, I guess you could say.
So, drained too, not just aged.
Maybe. I don't know.
I need. You wouldn't happen to still have any of this stuff around, would you?
That was years ago. No.
I need like samples and analysis time. Work out the math on this shit.
Uh, I still have the picture paper and the frame.
You still have it?
That's
Did
the
I,
only bit
maybe?
I do, but uh, hold on for just a moment. You don't touch anything. Heads out, and you have a couple of minutes to talk.
Alloy, it sounds like, for lack of a better way to put it, it sounds like rather than aging, it's almost like this stuff had its vitality taken. Like
Mm,
the stuff that
Townsfolk sure look like that.
the stuff that makes them them, you know, down to even just their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's hence the paper being fine, but the picture being gone. The picture is what made it. So the picture is now gone. The dress is faded, so it's
Yeah.
not same.
I
So
just
it.
want. I can measure how much of
Mhm.
a drain by how much something may or may not have aged from that drain.
Oh yeah,
The
no. Well, that's just it. I'm not sure how much. I think we're splitting hairs on the nomenclature. It doesn't sound
but
so much aging and weathering so much as just pulling.
I mean,
well, that'd be you the one splitting hairs. I see no difference here. I can just sort of. I just needed to analyze it, see if I can find out what did that.
that's right. We need to find out what did it and how to sever that connection, that hold it has on these people.
All right.
Like, was it ambient drain? Was it direct contact drain? What? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Unless,
These
All
unless
right.
people,
there's a little of both situation going on.
Because there's clearly an ambient effect, but whatever happened to this stuff sounds like it was way faster.
well, the poor one's been taken. Like these people that are still as safe as can be, but they're still being cursed by something.
Mm-hmm. And if I can maybe figure out what it is, I could set up at the very least some kind of a shield for the town.
That's let's just
Given enough time and material.
yeah, and we're not which
That's
we're
the
not going to have.
problem.
We're not going to have that. But find out
Given the
what you
option.
can, because the more information we have, the better.
Well, the Reverend comes back in saying, I don't reckon you find all that much in the way of material here. And hands over a palm-sized oval of metal. It used to have a kind of a pretty lace-edge filigree to the edge of it, but that's been worn to the point where it's snapped in places. And yeah, there's a thing is the picture isn't entirely blank. There's what appears to be the back of a chair just at the bottom.
So I'm going to go through some bits of kit, pull out like essentially a magnifier and a couple other things that like observe it. Pull out the sonic screwdriver widget. Pardon the no. I was about to say, pardon the noise. This is gonna.
Can we maybe do that up in the attic later in a few minutes?
It's fine. My hearing ain't what it used to be anyhow.
Okay, sorry.
You might
Sorry, Ally.
wanna ask before you try to insist on things in. Yes, this is the Lord's house, but this part of it has been granted to me. Looks at Alloy. By all means, but she's right. You should probably ask for permission before you start doing weirdnesses.
Thank you. Click. We're.
Okay, so how are you doing this?
I guess trying to best bet I can do is cast detect magic first
Okay.
and see what my widgets pick up.
Okay. Now we roll the end of it. It's tricksy to read. It's not an effect that you're aware of. I mean, first of all, this is incredibly old. So there's only a ounce of residue. What you're getting is, Reba was right. There's a definite drain going on here. It's not just life, though that does appear to be a part of it. There's more to it. You can't entirely tell where the ambient stuff is going, but this went into a being, you think. You think. Not a storage, but it was food.
More notes. Okay, next test. Gonna flip to identify.
Yeah, okay, but it's a picture frame.
Okay, hasn't been altered in any way. Alright. Let's see what this does. I'm going to try mending on it.
Nope.
No effect whatsoever.
Nope. There's not enough it to mend.
Okay, not enough. The other thing I can think of is applying a magic to it and seeing how long before that fades out. But that'll add more to the test requirements. Okay. Screw it. And I'm going to try and put Sanctuary on it.
Sanctuary is cast on it. It doesn't change. Whatever it was, now it's a lump of metal and wood with a piece of paper and with a picture of a slight bit of a back of a chair on it. It just
Right.
doesn't qualify as a picture frame anymore, really. Exactly. Whatever
Right.
connection was on that thing isn't anymore. I mean, it's been years.
Yeah. I was trying to see if putting a shield between it and everything else would do anything, but
No, whatever's been done to it has been. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. Whatever effect was put on it is now over. So it's not a consistent thing. It took whatever it took.
yeah. Okay. That explains some of it. Thank you for the opportunity to work on it, sir.
It's quite alright. Doesn't look
Uh,
overly sure about any of this, but
Hmm.
so this was what this had. Its essence wasn't just drained away slowly or quickly. This was consumed. This was food for something.
No, it's not. Doesn't sound surprising, that.
Best I can figure is whatever has been consuming individuals has also been slowly consuming everything in the vicinity. And it's probably whatever's actively needing the fuel when it goes out and consumes directly. It's what leads to stuff like this, but it just being here is absorbing the essence, just the base essence of what everyone here is, but because it's not direct contact, it's probably at a much slower rate.
Jillian looks to Reba.
Kind of like the difference between trying to drink a glass of water and trying to drink a bathtub.
eh.
Well, if the vital essence is the water, and a single person it's going after is equivalent to a glass of water. If it's also affecting the town, it's akin to it trying to drink from everything at once, an entire bathtub's worth of water at once. And can a person drink from a bathtub and drain it all in one go? No. But a glass? Yes.
But unless you drain everything, people make more life. So I would have
Mm-hmm.
thought that if you wanted a simile, it would have been one person be like drinking a glass of water, trying to drink the town would be like trying to drink rain.
That'd be definitely more accurate, yeah.
Alright. Thing is, though, that I mean, it can't be just one thing, but one thing I've got a general sense of. I mean, we live this near the wastes. We do hear about occasional weirdness. Prey is food for a predator. Ambient is either storing food for a lot of predators or storing energy for something else. Or both.
I'm really hoping it's not that last one, because that last one is a retread of what got me here in the first place.
Oh, it's very likely not just. It's not just a beast, like something from the waste. It's something malevolent,
I'm pretty sure.
intelligent.
I'm pretty sure there's a beast involved and all, but at
Because
least one.
a created attack dog, essentially.
if y'all wanted to try and see what more you could find, I can point you to a couple of houses in town where people were taken from their beds.
We'd appreciate that. That's something worth looking into while we still have daylight today.
It's I was gonna put together something for my parishioners to. And we've got a pretty big pot of rabbit soup on the stove if y'all want any. Bread's not much, but
If you're sure you have enough to go around, we do have our own supplies.
I'm aware, but I don't know where y'all are gonna end up next, so might want to make things stretch. And besides, God smiles on the hospitable.
Much obliged.
I think things the way they have been, I've become a little bit of an expert at the loaves and the fishes situation. I'll head on into the kitchen, and while I'm dishing up, and y'all can help me bring out soup to the folks if you like. But I'll get to thinking about which homes it won't matter so much if you poke around in, given as how, some folks that had folks missing from their beds are still in town, not many, but I can point you to the ones where one by one whole families were taken.
Mhm.
And ambles off to a room just off, and you can smell the. It's a touch thin, but you do have Spot going back. It's been sitting basically in the doorway the whole time listening to this. If we have supplies and we wanna, could we share?
I think we can do that. I think we can do that. So while when the Reverend toddles off, I'll just motion to Alloy and Jillian. I'm gonna grab some of a tiny bit of our supplies and see if we can't share some. They need it.
You have also you guys have had carrying capacity to spare on Muffin, so you don't have to go back out. This, one of the things Alloy will have built in is effectively something akin to less an icebox than a cooler in one of Muffin's carrying containers. So most of the food and bits and pieces go in Muffin because things keep longer in there.
Muffin, in fact, has an inbuilt mini fridge.
That's right. Okay, Alloy, you go get some bits. Well, we'll both go because I think I know more what might go well with that stew than you.
Yeah, 'cause to be fair, it's not even stew; it's soup.
Yeah.
All right.
Jill, while they're toddling out, Jillian will go back out into the main room, find an empty spot, look to the altar, and kind of pray and see if anything comes up.
There is a sense of absolute rightness about what you are currently doing and the upcoming plan. There is also a sense of warning. Bad shit is probably going to happen. There is also a certain amount of it's difficult to describe, but the rightness is as much the sharing of the food supplies as anything else. This place needs help, and while the Lord has granted you the ability to help in certain ways, it seems to be that there's a reason that you found these two. The places that you've gone and you've said, this is not what I was called to do. They're filling in the gaps that you have not felt equipped to help and have felt bad about that. So it's a sense of you have done well to tolerate the various issues and tribulations and tests that I and they have thrown in your path as regards this, because yes, you need them for the parts of the task that you have never known how to handle. So yeah, as you're finishing up praying, you've got Aloy and Reba coming back with one of Spot's hunted jackrabbits and a couple of bits of veggie, and you've had some stock since the last town to help thicken things up a little bit, and some spices that'll make it a little bit more cheerful. And you did have some longer life bread that, as the Reverend was really unfortunate about the bread.
So yeah, we'll bring that into I guess into the kitchen
Yeah.
or into the prep area.
Yeah.
And-
What's all this?
I believe if I remember the sayings correctly, mysterious ways.
Jillian goes to help
And
with the
Reba
food.
just smiles and just holds it out.
There was a gentleman gentleman teacher at seminary school, and he said as how, while the story of the loaves and the fishes was a miracle, that a miracle of perhaps a different type than might have been originally suggested. That it was more that folks had little bits saved by, and when passing the loaves and the fish round, they just chipped in what they had as well. Either way, it's still, I'm sorry to say, the Lord's work, but I don't know, generosity is its own miracle.
It's okay. It's okay.
And yeah, lunch with an actual more stew-like component, and the adults are still kind of wary looking, but mollified a bit by a better feed. The kids are feeling better enough after Spot and everything to be inquisitive about Muffin. Like, boop, boop. Boop. And actually, zip, booped his nose with his own big ass metal nose. So it's nip, boop. Pat, 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 boop, boop.
Muffin does some amazing little things.
Pat, pat. Why did you call him Muffin?
Well, he just kind of looked like a muffin to me.
Well, I mean,
Not
yeah.
like an actual muffin, but you know, the same way you'd look at a cat and say it looks like a spot, or
The cat's name is Spot?
Yes.
Hi, Spot. Glumps over and floomp on child's foot. Just
I'm like just trying to check it. I'm examining like, would there be enough space for Muffin to do spin or not?
no.
Like, okay, Muffin. Head only. Spin. Just the head.
Okay, that's freaking them out.
Okay, stop.
Oop.
Let's see, I'm just trying to think of any sort of vague music that Muffin could boop out.
It can boop out Oh Susanna.
Muffin? Oh, Susanna protocol.
Boo 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 boo. The kids are laughing at this point. And on that note, we are at about that time, so things are feeling a bit more lively than they have for a while in this little town. That if whatever is there is trying to drink the rain, they've got a bit more of a downpour at the moment to try and contend with. So that's something. And we
He
will come back next week with the investigation of various uh, abandoned kidnappy homes. Later, guys.